cracking, y'all? You are now watching Boo TV. Appreciate you for stopping in. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, stay notified, and let's get into the topic for today. What's cracking? Back with some more tmac, Tracy McGrady content. As I've said before on previous content on this channel, I will continue to put respect on Tracy McGrady's name. This guy's career was derailed by injuries, but we at least got to see a significant stretch of what this guy was able to do in his prime, especially. T-Mac is, in my opinion, one of the greatest scorers I've ever seen play the game of basketball, and one of the best basketball players I've ever seen play the game of basketball. Like, he was an underrated playmaker and passer as well. But the name of the video is the most effortless scorer in NBA history. And from what I've seen from players and scorers, whatever, is that for me, T-Mac and Kevin Durant are the two most effortless scorers I've seen, especially McGrady. Like, the look on his face, he just has the look on his face where it looks like he's not even trying out there. You know, he got those two lazy eyes. And I grew up in the Orlando area. I watched it. I wasn't a T-Mac fan back then either. That's how you know. This isn't any bias here. In fact, I hated T-Mac growing up. I didn't even like him. Hated the Magic, everything. But I swear, most games it looked like he wasn't even sweating out there. I was like, does this dude sweat? 75% of the time, I don't even see this guy sweat, and he's just effortlessly shooting. And T-Mac could score from everywhere. Everywhere. He was 6'8". So that's the other thing. Like, T-Mac was 6'8". Great athleticism, could score anywhere on the court, mid-range, all over, low post, high post, three-point shot, left hand, right hand, dunk on you, layup, fade away, post, whatever, decent footwork, had some good handles, especially for a 6'8" player. Like, the dude could score effortlessly, like I said. And then, before Steph Curry, and I understand the three-point line wasn't emphasized back then as it is now. Tracy McGrady was the first guy I seen pulling up from 2, 3, 4 feet behind the line with regularity, just launching three-point shots and getting buckets. But it wasn't emphasized as much. But I'm telling you, T-Mac was pulling up feet behind the line before Steph Curry. I mean, in rhythm, just effortlessly shooting them. But what do I know? Salute to T-Mac. Let's get into it.
It's really a shame Tracy McGrady's career was beset by so many injuries, robbing us of his prime years as one of the best scorers the NBA had ever seen. And because of that, he's quickly being forgotten as each year passes, but we need to remember what he could do. Since in all my years of watching the NBA, I'd never seen anybody score as easily as the one they called T-Mac. Now, before you go looking up his career field goal and three-point percentages and start yelling at me that he didn't score that easy, I'm just telling you that he's a guy who was effortless in his ability to put the ball in the basket. He liked to hang in the air on his jump shot, which would certainly lead to plenty of inconsistency, but he had so many moments when he got going, and it was almost like there wasn't anyone playing defense on him, despite being up in his grill and contesting to the point of just about blocking the shot. McGrady was a bit of a missing link in the NBA, a connection to the glory days of the 80s when small forwards posted up a ton. Guys like Adrian Dantley and Larry Bird would be at the top of the league in scoring back then, and McGrady was so long that he had a size advantage almost every time. You can see a good example of how the defense just didn't matter with his turnaround high release. The post-up was a way to get him a 12-footer. Even when they had a guy close to his size, like Rick Fox here, they knew exactly how to get it to him. And again, it becomes an open 12-foot layup. But what I particularly liked about his postgame is how quickly he attacked on the catch. How are you supposed to stop this turnaround? And check how he lifts both feet in the air while rotating to face up. Then the jab step gets an opening to the middle before they're forced to foul him. If you're a young player, add this move to your arsenal today. There was none of this 5 dribble in place back you down stuff. He'd face up immediately and check the shot fake with the right foot load. Perfect way to explode by your man, and again, they're forced to put him on the line. But McGrady did a ton of damage from the perimeter in the pick and roll as well, which is the bridge to the modern game we know so well now. This might look very familiar as they hunt the worst defender to force a switch and watch McGrady hit Christian Laettner with a smooth crossover, stutter step, step back from 19 feet that just tickles the twine. I still can't get over how easy it looked for McGrady to score. And while you might not be able to fill it up on the court as easily as he did, imagine an online tool that helps you find promo codes, then automatically adds them to your cart, as easy as a tmac finger roll, or footage of Tracy McGrady getting double teamed on this pick and roll. Notice how it doesn't even faze him. He just patiently waits for another ball screen to his left, then crosses over the second defender before swooping in for the finger roll. He loved going to his left, which makes sense because righties have their shooting hip and elbow already aligned to the hoop, and his stop and pop mid-range game was almost automatic. The frustrating thing about watching some of these pick and rolls was how often he'd end up shooting right in front of the three-point line. Here's a nice set Doc Rivers ran for tmac called Zipper, where McGrady would zipper cut to the top of the key for the easy catch, and the weak side pin down turns into a pick and roll. He was never in a hurry, always under control, but get behind the line, man, and get that extra point. Same play, and this time, after the cutter goes back door, they run pinch post action. Well defended and contained, so the offense would naturally gravitate back to McGrady on the perimeter. Just look how helpless Jared Jeffries is on this pull-up with the and one. They kept running zipper since if it ain't broke, don't fix it, but McGrady finds space to cut to the wing instead, and he finally got his feet behind the line for the three-point shot. We did get glimpses of what could have been a modern version of McGrady as he gets the ball screen high enough to enable him to step into a three-point shot here. And you can see how guys waving at him from close distance didn't faze him much at all as he drops in another three-point bomb out of the pick and roll. Imagine how many more points he'd have scored utilizing the spacing a lot more. Scorers at his level also utilize the isolation quite a bit, but these still tended to be out of the flow rather than grinding the offense to a screeching halt. His jab step game was certainly a throwback, and he could rise up from a standstill and hit these tough ones. He basically treated these like post-ups, facing up on the smaller guard against the zone and just rising up as if he didn't even care that the defense was on him. Of course, in this game where he scored 62 points, he was feeling it, so we got an aggro ISO in transition. Check the through the legs, behind the back, swivel step hezzy, then snatch into the shot. These are the things we see James Harden do regularly, and we have McGrady to thank. What I think I appreciated most about his game is his willingness to operate inside the offense to get shots. He doesn't force the pick and roll, instead sprinting off a handoff to find a three-pointer, again, as if there wasn't any defense there. And he'd fill the lane in transition to the corner, getting this look generated by his teammates finding him. He had a way of eluding his defenders too, sliding off this pick to the open spot and hitting the wide open jumper. And here's another throwback, the shot fake one dribble pull-up. While it's a beauty, nowadays he would have sidestepped and stayed behind the three-point line. While McGrady liked to glide around the court smoothly, there was no denying his incredible athletic ability. When he needed it, he could uncork a staggering display of athleticism that would remind you of Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant, with an assortment of finishing packages around the rim that would make you just shake your head in amazement. One thing I caught in this clip of his jump shot is the rhythm he generated off the dribble. Notice how his knees are bent and completely loaded before the ball has begun to swing up into the shot. That is perfect. At this point, he'll hang in the air and make this a two-motion shot, which is the suboptimal part and would have led to a lot of the streakiness we saw throughout his career. In the 02-03 season, we got an early glimpse of what the NBA was to become, as he took over 6 threes a game and averaged over 32 a game plus 5.5 assists. Sadly, Grant Hill was broken down for much of that season, and they didn't have much else. And yet, McGrady carried the Magic to 7 games against a team that would win the title a year later. And who can forget when he led the Houston Rockets back from an 8-point deficit by scoring 13 points in 33 seconds, with one shot more improbable than the next. But sadly, this was one of his last hurrahs before the injuries sidelined him for huge stretches during the rest of his career. To add to his impressive resume, he made the Hall of Fame in 2017, which is quite a testament considering he only had 7 seasons where he played at least 70 games. But that was a lucky number, since he made the All-Star team 7 times and was voted All-NBA 7 times as well. Without question, it was his ability to score so easily that left an indelible impression on so many people's minds despite the injuries and earned him a place among the pantheons of all-time greats. Of all the players from earlier eras that could have benefited the most from playing in the modern NBA, I'd probably nominate Tracy McGrady as the guy who would have gained the most from the spacing and the pace. It wouldn't be hard to imagine him taking 10 threes a game, hitting 40% of them, and posting up as well at a high percentage. So, the next time you get into an argument as to who was the easiest scorer in the NBA, you can mention the KDs and the Kareems all you like, but for me, it will always be Tracy McGrady.
From a channel called B-Ball Breakdown. I'll put the link to the original source here in the description of this video. But yeah, I don't disagree with anything he said. T-Mac and Kevin Durant are the most effortless scorers, and he basically reiterated everything I said in my opening remarks, so I'm not going to go ahead and repeat it. But yeah, you saw for yourself, man. T-Mac was that dude, man. And I just really wish his back wouldn't have given him so many problems and pretty much forced him into a lesser role and then out of the league. Just because, man, he just chronic back spasms, man. Even before he got drafted, they didn't think, the summary on T-Mac before he got drafted was they didn't think he would be even able to play as long as he did before his back put him out. So the fact that he got so many good years in was incredible in its own. And he mentioned before, remember in the beginning of videos, he's like, before all you guys go looking up his shot percentage, listen, it was a different era of basketball back then. Okay, the shooting percentage, the field goal percentage, was down compared to, say, the current NBA, but that doesn't mean these players weren't inefficient by any means. There were less points being scored in the NBA during that time. There was more defense in the NBA during that time, and the pace was generally slower in the NBA in that time, and there wasn't the spacing that you have now. So a 44-45% field goal percentage was good back then for wing players. And the only players getting like 50% from the field were like centers and power forwards. Some power forwards, not even all of them. So for all you people that just like to deduce players to field goal percentage, go take a hike. You don't know what you're talking about. You gotta take the errors into consideration. I don't mean to sound rude, but I guess I was a bit rude. But, you know, I will forever stand up for Tracy McGrady. And this is coming from a guy that used to hate him back in the day. Considered him a rival of my favorite players. So I couldn't stand T-Mac. But hey, man, the dude was a monster. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, stay notified, and I'll catch you on the next one. We out, baby.